Expensive Chromebooks took a bit of a hit in 2020, as mid-range Chromebooks got so much better and offered a lot of the things that we used to wait for in high-end devices. Those same high-end Chromebooks that were still hanging around all of last year had a hard time selling because, frankly, it's just difficult to get excited about a device that costs nearly $1,000 and doesn't offer that much more than the $500 or $600 competition. That being said, there's still some of you out there, myself included, that really enjoy good build quality, premium materials, and not really having to compromise on any part of the Chrome OS experience. If that sounds like you, and devices like the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook from last year were interesting to you and may have been nearly a great fit aside from the battery woes, then something like this, the HP Elite C1030 Chromebook, could be a great device for you. Today's video is brought to you by Nordvpn. They're the VPN of choice for millions of consumers because they're awesome at what they do, and that's keeping your browsing safe and secure whether you're at home or out and about. If you'd like to learn more about them and their services, head over to chromeunbox.com/NordVPN where you can learn more and get started today. The HP Elite C1030 Chromebook really does feel every bit the premium Chromebook. And if you've ever picked up a MacBook or an expensive Windows laptop like a Surface, or heck, even a Pixelbook, then you know what premium stuff feels like. And the Elite C1030 Chromebook does all of those premium laptop things. The build materials feel great, the fit and finish is very nice, it's got a unique form factor, it's thin, it's light, it's very attractive. It does basically everything you want very, very well. And the only real knock anyone's going to be able to have against this thing is the price tag. If we could though, just for a few minutes, let's put that price tag out of our minds. Instead, we'll circle back to that towards the end and just focus in on all the things HP got right in this high-end Chromebook. And it really all starts out with build quality. I mean, look at this thing. It's absolutely gorgeous, right down to the brand new HP logo on the lid. I love everything about the way this Chromebook is put together. The all aluminum frame has a really nice soft touch finish. There are edges where it feels like there need to be edges, but some rounded corners where those feel fitting, and the entire thing just comes together and looks amazing on a desk or in your hand. No matter what angle you hold it from, this thing oozes premium from every angle. Coming in at a little under 3 pounds, it's like 2.8 pounds, and only 15 millimeters thick at its thickest point, this thing is also easy to tote around. It's mil-spec rated, so it's been tested for drops and all that kind of stuff. Dust, sand, water resistance. So it's made to take a beating. It feels absolutely incredible. And again, I just love the way that HP has put it together, coming all the way down to the hinges. I mean, the hinge mechanism on this thing is nearly perfect. It feels like it has tension and release at every single angle and flips obviously all the way around into tablet mode and all your presentation modes in between. But from the hinge to the build quality, to the casing, to the durability, to the weight, to the size, HP absolutely knocked it out with this Chromebook. It's just fantastic. And all of that continues as soon as you open up this lid and see the screen on the inside. Its resolution isn't mind-blowing at 1920 by 1280, but it does have some unique traits. For one, it has very tiny bezels. 2, it's 3x2, so it's got a taller aspect ratio, and 3, it's 13.5 inches, which when I used the Acer Spin 713 for the better part of 2020, I really came to love this screen size and form factor because a 13.5 inch diagonal measure, 3x2 aspect ratio screen gives you what almost feels like a 15.6 inch laptop in terms of raw screen real estate, while fitting still into that small form factor of this particular device. The small bezels means you're not seeing all kinds of extra stuff around the edges of the screen, and it's just this immersive display that allows you to get a lot of stuff done, whether you're docked at a desk or you're out and about on the go. I just love it. HP does offer the screen in a couple different varieties. At one point they were saying that there would be a 1000 nit viewable outdoor version that's not available to buy right now, but may turn up eventually. But the one we have is the 400 nit anti-glare screen. It's still touch, still USI compatible. It just has this nice kind of anti-glare coating on it that makes it almost paper-like in its look and doesn't really affect the colors or the vibrancy of the screen. I still think I'd prefer the other 400 nit IPS kind of standard screen option that is available, but either way, the screen options for this Chromebook are really fantastic. Additionally, I really appreciate the fact that they tried to trim the bezel down a bit on the bottom side. A lot of convertibles have that huge bezel across the bottom, and because hinges are difficult and you need extra space there, but HP really minimized that bottom bezel, so the screen just feels that much more immersive and frankly looks far less ridiculous than most when you use it in tablet mode. And a high quality laptop wouldn't be high quality if the typing experience was poor, the trackpad was floppy, or just didn't work right. And I'm not surprised at all that this HP has none of those issues. In fact, I'd rank this keyboard up there at the top of the Chrome OS heap because I've gone back and forth between it and the Pixelbook Go that I hold in high esteem, and I can't honestly decide which one I like better. So the keyboard here is awesome. It's backlit, it feels wonderful under your fingers, but it does have that issue with silver keys and dark silver lettering on them, where when the sun comes in and out, I gotta futz around a little bit with the backlighting because sometimes I can't quite see the symbols and sometimes I can, and you need more backlight or less. And it's just one of those things that can be remedied really easily by turning the backlighting up and down. But honestly, if you're near a window, you're definitely going to be making those adjustments as you go throughout your day. And no keyboard would be complete without a great trackpad, and this one is no exception. It's big, glass, wide. It's got a great click mechanism. It's buttery smooth on the surface. Absolutely nothing to complain about, and again, I would give it the superlative of probably being the best trackpad I've used on a Chromebook to date. Chromebooks, especially the high-end enterprise targeted ones like this one, have come with way more I/O in them than we've been seeing in past years, and this one is no exception. You get USB Type-C on both sides, but you also get a USB Type-A for all those peripherals you might need to plug in. You get a micro SD card slot, a headphone microphone jack, a Kensington lock, and power and volume rocker on one side. There's another button there that we're going to talk about here in just a second, kind of in its own section, but you get the idea. The I/O is good here. It would have been cool to see a full-size HDMI slot on this thing like we're starting to see in other high-end business-minded Chromebooks, but I just don't know with the thinness and form factor of this device exactly how they could have made it fit in. Thankfully, USB-C is completely up to the task, so you're not really losing much there. And while we're talking about fitting better things into smaller frames, we do have to talk about the speakers on this one. Though branded as B&O again, they're just mediocre at best. One thing they could have done here to separate themselves from the pack a bit, I feel like anyway, is to include some speakers that were exceptional and great, because we know it can be done. The Pixelbook Go did it with a thin form factor and a nice, firm, sturdy build, and that Chromebook still blows my mind with speakers that just don't make any sense coming out of such a small space. It would have been really cool to see HP figure out a way to fit that in, whether it was up on top above the keys or down the sides, but as it stands, they're downward firing. They're mediocre at best, and they'll help you get through a video call or whatever if you need it, but you're just not going to want to watch much media on these. You can't have luxury Chromebooks without some perks, right? This Chromebook comes with a bunch of them, and the first example is the switch we just talked about previously on the side that toggles a privacy shade for your webcam. There's a small physical switch by the volume rocker that allows you to turn on your webcam and turn it off. And though the webcam here is mediocre again, 720p, just like most webcams we get in Chromebooks, it is very nice to have that physical button there that you can use to flip the camera on and off so you know for sure when your video is being shared with the world and when it's not. We have more small perks up on the keyboard, starting with a separate brightness toggle up and down for your keyboard backlighting. So again, when I said earlier with the keyboard, I had some issues with visibility and backlight levels. It was really easy and quick to just adjust keyboard backlighting here because there are buttons specifically for them right within reach, right at the top of the keyboard. And honestly, I found myself using those quite a bit. In that same row, right next to your overview key is the new screenshot key. And this is the first Chromebook we've seen with this button, and it does exactly what you'd expect. So instead of having to hit Alt Overview to get your screenshot, you just hit that one single button and you get a standard screen grab. Alt in that same button now brings up the new screenshot tool that's available in Chrome OS 88. And while I'm fine with knowing the keyboard shortcuts and how to get around this stuff, I did find myself liking the standalone button. And just like the specific keyboard backlighting keys, I found myself using it quite often. For the final perk, we have a fingerprint scanner, and it's not that this is the only Chromebook with a fingerprint scanner. It's just nice to see on a top-of-the-line device like this that they didn't choose to nix it for some odd reason. And so taking all that stuff into consideration, taking the build quality, the screen aspect ratio, the thinness, the lightness of the device, USI pen compatibility, everything that you can get in this small, petite, very portable, very excellent-looking Chromebook, you start seeing why it costs a bit more than some of the others. It's not just about processors inside. It's not just about how much RAM it has. It's about the little things, the things that make a device go from feeling utilitarian to elegant. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to talk about the processors. We obviously need to talk about what's inside this thing. The model we're testing came equipped with a Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, and 256 gigs of NVMe storage. And while I think that's a bit of overkill for most people, there are all sorts of different variations you can get on HP's website. So depending on how much processing power you're looking for, you can get anything from a Core i3 to a Core i7 10th gen Intel processor. Every model across the board of this device comes with a 50 watt-hour battery that HP is touting as being able to charge up to like 90% in 90 minutes, but longevity really isn't class leading here by any stretch of the imagination. Instead, I got what kind of feels like standard Chromebook battery life at this point, and it got me through a normal day, but not much else. You can probably count on 8 hours of use on a charge as long as you don't have the display cranked all the way up to 100 the whole time. And for what it's worth, it was never a cause for concern like we saw with like the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. But it also doesn't slot itself as some sort of battery champ either. It's just okay and usable. You can get anywhere from 8 to 16 gigs of RAM, and you can go from 128 gigs to 256 gigs of NVMe storage. So the layouts are really going to be based mostly on what users choose to do if they're buying this as a customized business device. But if you get the standard consumer-facing model, you're looking at a Core i3 10th gen Intel processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of NVMe storage, and all the rest of the goodies on this device on the exterior that we have talked about so far. So not only do you get a very comparable processor in the Core i3, I mean, it's decently fast, you're getting plenty of RAM with 8 gigs and plenty of internal storage, and then all those other cool keys and buttons and aesthetics and build quality and everything that this Chromebook brings to the table. But that device starts at $999, and that's where we have to come back and really start thinking about cost and whether the things we've highlighted are worth it to you. Because if at the end of the day, your main concern is having a device that just gets the job done and it's fast enough, then we can't not talk about devices like the X360 14C from HP themselves or the Acer Spin 713 that cost hundreds of dollars less than this device, and in some areas give you more performance. I mean, the Spin 713 has a higher resolution screen with the same 13.5 inch 3:2 aspect ratio. It's got a faster processor with a Core i5, again 10th gen, and the same internal RAM and storage specs. So for $400 less, it feels like you're getting more in some ways, right? But when we ask that question, we have to come back to all the other niceties on offer. And when I put this device right next to the Acer, it's far smaller, it's lighter, it's clearly put together better with better tolerances, and everything about it looks and feels and behaves better than the Acer Spin 713. And if you're after those types of things, if you're after having perks like extra switches and extra keys and fingerprint scanners, very, very good keyboard and trackpad and a great screen, superior build quality, all aluminum materials and solid internals, if you want all of that, all put together in one device, then I think the price starts to make a little bit more sense at that point. If you're after a Chromebook that comes with no compromises with build quality, no compromises on the screen or input method, no compromises on performance, and you equate those particular things with a substantial reason for a higher price tag, I think the HP Elite C1030 Chromebook could be a perfect fit for you. But guys, that's it for this one. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Go down there and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Until next time. We'll see you.